The aroma of sizzling burgers filled the air. Laughter echoed around the backyard. 5 friends, Jake, the athletic one, Emily, the level-headed one, Ryan, the joker, Chloe, the timid one, and Ben, the skeptic, were having a barbecue. But this wasn't just any ordinary gathering. They were planning a trip to Camp Blackwood.
Camp Blackwood? Ben snorted, taking a bite of his burger. You mean the haunted forest? Seriously?
Oh, come on, Ben, Jake chuckled. Don't tell me you're scared.
It'll be fun, Ben. We'll be back before you know it.
Little did they know, they wouldn't all be coming back. Camp Blackwood was shrouded in an eerie silence. Towering trees, their branches gnarled and twisted, formed a canopy overhead, blocking out the sun. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves.
See? Ben whispered, his voice edged with apprehension. This place gives me the creeps.
Chloe shivered, pulling her jacket tighter. It is a little creepy, she admitted.
Ryan, trying to lighten the mood, chuckled nervously. Relax, guys. It's just a forest. Besides, what's the worst that could happen?
As they ventured deeper into the woods, the shadows seemed to lengthen, and the silence became more profound. An unsettling feeling began to creep over them, as though they were being watched. They stumbled upon a clearing, and in the middle stood a dilapidated cabin. As they approached, a figure emerged from the shadows. An old woman with piercing blue eyes and a weathered face. Her voice, when she spoke, was raspy with age.
"Turn back," she croaked, her eyes fixed on them with an unsettling intensity. "This forest is cursed. Many have entered, but few have returned."
Ryan scoffed. Cursed? Come on, Grandma. That's just a story.
The old woman shook her head sadly. "You may not believe it now," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "but beware the darkness, for it holds secrets that are best left undisturbed."
With that, she turned and disappeared back into the shadows, leaving the friends to ponder her cryptic warning. The sun began to set, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor. Ben insisted they set up camp early.
Did you see the look on that old lady's face? Chloe whispered, her eyes wide with fear. I told you we shouldn't have come.
Relax, Chloe, Jake said, trying to sound reassuring. It's just a story. There's no such thing as cursed.
But even Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The forest seemed to be closing in on them, the shadows whispering secrets they couldn't understand. Night fell, blanketing the forest in an impenetrable darkness. The friends huddled around the campfire, the flickering flames casting dancing shadows on their faces. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night.
What was that?
Chloe jumped up, her eyes wide with terror.
Probably just an animal,
Jake said, though his voice lacked conviction. But deep down, a primal fear began to gnaw at their courage. The forest had come alive with a sinister energy. They decided to check on the source of the scream, their fear battling with their curiosity. Jake led the way, his flashlight cutting a shaky beam through the darkness.
But I don't think this is a good idea.
Ben muttered, his voice tight with fear. As they walked, the forest seemed to press in on them, the darkness suffocating. And then it happened. The flashlight flickered once, twice, and then died, plunging them into absolute darkness. Panic surged through the group.
Stay close.
Ryan noticed he had lost sight of the group. He stopped and saw a pair of red eyes. Suddenly, Ryan screamed. The monster ran up to him, and Ryan's lifeless body fell to the ground. The darkness had separated them. They were lost in a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty. Desperation filled the air as his friends called out each other's names. They were all lost and all alone.
Then Chloe tripped, her hand landing on something cold and clammy.
She recoiled in horror, her scream echoing through the silent woods.
Fumbling for her lighter, she flicked it on.
The small flame revealed a sight that made her blood run cold.
It was Ryan, his eyes wide and lifeless, his face contorted in a silent scream.
Suddenly, she heard a low growl behind her.
Slowly, she turned, her heart pounding in her throat.
2 glowing red eyes pierced the darkness, their malevolent gaze fixed on her. A hulking figure began to emerge from the shadows, its form shifting and swirling like smoke.
Chloe was paralyzed with terror, unable to move, unable to scream.
The sound of breaking twigs snapped Chloe out of her trance. She scrambled to her feet and ran blindly through the darkness. The horrifying image of the creature seared into her mind.
She could hear it behind her, its heavy footsteps pounding the earth.
Fear lent her speed, but the forest seemed to have no end. It was a nightmare she couldn't escape. Chloe burst out of the tree line, gasping for breath, her clothes torn, her face streaked with tears and dirt. She didn't stop running until she reached the highway.
The authorities found Ryan's body the next day. They never found any trace of Jake, Emily, or Ben.
The official explanation was that they had gotten lost and succumbed to the elements. But Chloe knew the truth. She had seen the terror that lurked in the heart of Camp Blackwood. She had looked into the eyes of the darkness, and it had looked back. Chloe never fully recovered from that night. The memory of her friends, the horror of Ryan's fate, and the chilling encounter with the unknown entity haunted her dreams. Camp Blackwood remained a place of mystery, whispered about in hushed tones, a stark reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed. For some things, as Chloe learned, are far more terrifying than we could ever imagine.